Dumelang Sambanani, hello South Africa. A very warm welcome to Expressions. This is definitely the place for you to air your views. We want to say Happy Africa Month to everybody. Kohaya, I'm your host, Jacqueline Mapala.
Sinibingelela sinamukele mina ngumxolisi wakwaMasango. Siphez kwayo inyanga yeAfrica. As we as Expressions, of course, we continue to observe this month as well as the important conversations that come with it. Namhlanje ohlelweni siyabuza ke, should we be celebrating Africa Month? Looking at everything that has happened over the past few weeks as well as months in the country, so much has really happened. So it's very important for us to be reflecting on these conversations ohlelweni namhlanje. The first stop on the show namhlanje takes us to Soweto, where we're touching base with Uputu Enoch and Ivan, who are from Mozambique and Zimbabwe respectively, and moved to the country in search of greener pastures. Futhi ke sikhulumisana nabo ukuzwa ama experiences abo la South Africa, to also find out what they think of the country and the countries that they come from respectively. Let's take you there. Namhlanje ku-Expressions sikhuluma ngokubaluleka kokuba umAfrika. So wena ngokudabuka uvela eMozambique, right? Akawusitshele mhlawumbe ukuthi ufike kanjani la eSouth Africa?
Oh lana angifike kahle ngifike izinto bezingahambe kahle ngale, so aza ngavela ngahamba ngisiphandela nje. That's why ngizivulele business nyana le, ngizama ukuthi ngisiphandele at least abantwana balala badlile yabona.
What made you ukuthi ukhethe ibusiness yokwenza ukudla?
Oh mangicala ukusebenza kahle business yami kahle bekudla bese ngaphuma laphayana ngabona ukuthi ayisengiright, sengifundile, sengigrand ngebusiness, ngakhetha ukuthi ngizivulele yami. That's why njengamanje sengizivulele yami.
How are you finding it in South Africa? Kunjani eMzansi solo wafika?
eMzansi right kakhulu. Right too much. Right. Problem into engijabulisayo ukuthi abantu bala eMzansi batswafi kuyothenga ukudla, yabona ngisestratini nje, mara umuntu nomuntu uyazithengela nje. Wonke umhlobo ikhona yeza la izothenga ukudla, amaphoyisa nani bonke bayeza bazothenga ukudla. So bayajabula, nami bayangijabulisa ukuthi abantu bala eMzansi hayi abana stress ngokuthenga ukuzidlela into bayifunayo.
So masibona izinto ezifana no Operation Dudula kanye nezinye futhi ezisuke zenzeke ezingekho zinhle ezindabeni nakwamanye ama-platforms, zikwenza uzizwe njani wena mawucabanga kumele sicelebrate ukuba African makhona nezinto enjalo?
Yeah, izinto ezifana nama-Operation Dudula izinto ezingikhathazayo because benginamashophu ayi-2 khona manje ngisele le shop eyi-1 le engused to bake bangifikela bangihlasela laphayana ngayo le Operation Dudula. So that's why namanje ngisebenza ngishop e1, so izinto ezifana nama-Operation Dudula azingiphathi kahle total.
Should we celebrate Africa Month? Sikhona isidingo sokuthi si-celebrate Africa Month?
Izinto ezifana nalezi kumele vela si-celebrate because indabuko yethu vela kumele si-celebrate.
Masikhuluma njengamanje ungasho ukuthi eMzansi Africa seyisekhaya manje, uhlele kahle?
Yeah, sekhaya vela ngihlele kahle. Yeah, just ukuthi nje ilama Operation Dudula la azihlaselayo, mara kungasilokho hayi ngasho ukuthi hayi ngihlele kahle, ngisekhaya, ngifree, akuna stress. As long nje umuntu make sure ukuthi asiphathele nje passport yakhe nje, ahlala nje right, passport yakhe be right njengami.
We're meeting up namhlanje no Ivan as well, who's a 24-year-old who came from Zim and came to South Africa and now has, you know, a barber business. Akusitshela ukuthi uye wasuka nini eZimbabwe ngokuthi uze la eMzansi and wasuswa yini?
Ngisuke ngo-2018 ukuza la eMzansi. Usuke ngendaba yokuthi siyahlupheka, imali ayisasebenzi kahle lapha eZim, so sathi maybe sikhona ukuphanda. So lana eSouth Africa siyaphanda, siyagunda. Umsebenzi lo wokugunda loyo angizange ngithi ngiyawufunda,
You think siyazama ukuthi si-accommodatane as ama-Africans?
Yeah, as an Africans, we are one thing as a continent. And akumelanga siyenze lento le yedudula ngoba masika nje kumele sivisite sibone ama-countries wase-Africa, sibone ukuthi lama countries anjani as a one thing.
Do you think inyanga ifana no-Africa Month lo sesikuye manje uMay kumele si-celebrate?
Yeah, kumele si-celebrate le Africa Day. Just because ilanga lethu ama-Africans and sine freedom.
What makes you most proudest to be African?
Ukuthi ngine freedom, ngiyakhona kuzenzela imisebenzi yami yezandla, ngiyakhona kuziphandela, kanjalo even business, we are free to start some businesses. I enjoy it kakhulu just because ngiqale nje ngingayazi mara yavela ngene egazini, even mase ngigunda ngiyayifila, ngiyajabula. So i-business yokuthi sometimes even ngakhona ukuvula amanye ama-branch kanjalo nje, and ngiya-motivate abanye abantu ukuthi bayenze ngoba i-business e-right.
Ngathini kwabanye abantu abasha right now ababukele TV ukusho ukuthi we all Africans and we must start working together as one Africa?
Ngithe kubantu laba bukela manje like in Africa's Day kumele sibe a unit, sibe into eyi-one. Masi nemsebenzi sometimes kumele si-encourageane imisebenzi zezandla, singayenzi into, singahlukanisani njengabantu.
Masuqhathanisa manje ukuba ngale zemnala eMzansi, do you feel ukuthi you've made progress?
Yeah, kune progress. Just because sengiyakhona ukuthi at least ngikhona ukuthola ukubudgeta, at least ngikhona ukucabanga ngempilo ukuthi sometimes kumele ngenzani for a future.
We're touching base with Uhlumelo, who is a finalist for Mr. South Africa, which is essentially a brand and a franchise which I'd like to think stands for being South African and taking pride in that. What does it mean to not only be South African, but ukuba African?
When I speak about being an African, I speak of my culture, I speak of where I come from, what makes me, what makes Uhlumelo, you understand? So being an African, man, it's very broad, but let me just say, I pride myself of ukuba ulomuntu enguye umXhosa.
Why do you think it was important for you to ungenele, and what this actually means when it comes to being South African?
One thing that hit me the most when I entered this competition, like you have said in your intro, that we are in the Africa Month, we're celebrating Africa Day and all that. Plus, celebrate London, we celebrate how far we've came as Africa.
How does that make you feel when you see an Operation Tutula happening in the country, ikakhulukazi makwenzeka konke lokho ngesikhathi se-Africa Month?
If you take time and you listen to their fundamentals and what they hope to achieve, they've been there before there were cameras. They've been pushing the operation, you understand? And we are only exposed to them now that there are cameras surrounding them.
Is there a reason to celebrate Africa Month?
Kumele sizibuza umbuzo, sisukaphi, siyaphi, ithini vision esinayo. As Africans, we have been through a lot. We need to celebrate the little that we have achieved. We are still going to achieve.
So what would your message be to Africans amanye are young afana nawe njengamanje who are trying to champion causes afana nawakho?
We are all Africans. The spirit of Ubuntu, it doesn't only end between mna nawe mxo because we are South Africans. But there are our brothers that are here in this country, our beloved country, legally, who are doing right things. Yes, of course, we can't run away from the fact that they are illegal immigrants, you understand? But we can't now want to shut down everybody. There is no country that survives without immigrants. You understand? So I would say, as let us start to change our mindset.
Should we be celebrating Africa Month? What do you think? Do interact with us in Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This is Expressions. We're back after this. What do you think? Should we really be celebrating Africa Month? Our next stop takes us to Radio Park Konalaika, Auckland Park, where we're speaking to broadcaster Oputu Neto Chimani. He speaks to us how he enjoys dual citizenship. Yake. Those are such exciting conversations. We're also touching base with a musician Uputi Waselesotu Loge Uputu Umalum Vector. He talks to us about his journey as a musician, also speaks to us about staying true to his African roots by singing in his language. Take a look.
Orlando Pirates have a 2-0 lead against Libyan giants Al Ahly Tripoli.
Neto, you enjoy dual citizenship. Talk to us about that.
Let me start by saying Africa is a tough continent because, you know, in South Africa, you feel the pain of a whole lot of challenges that are facing African people. And then you move from South Africa, you go to Mozambique. Now that's where you realize the real poverty. When you think there's poverty in South Africa, you need to take a tour around the continent.
You, as a person that enjoys dual citizenship, where do you prefer the most, the other side or South Africa?
To be honest, I prefer it in Mozambique simply because of the hospitality in Mozambique. Mozambican people are very welcoming, you know, so it's that I love the most about Mozambique, the fact that you're going to be well looked after, because remember that there's no wealth without health. So what's the point of being in Johannesburg, the world-class African city full of potholes all over, but you're also not eating good?
I've seen the likes of Operation Dudula as well, being in the news, being in the headlines. As an African, what comes to mind, or how does it make you feel to know that such things are happening in the African space?
If we are siblings and the parents are treating you superior than me, there'll come a time where I take out this hatred on you because you are having it easier than me. So it is the same scenario. For as long as you don't manage the movements from African borders coming to South Africa or anywhere on the continent, you're bound to have such issues.
Should we be celebrating Africa Month?
I honestly believe that we shouldn't, and I'll give you my reasons why. What's there to celebrate? I've already alluded to some of the challenges on the continent. I was speaking to a lady from DR Congo, Joelle, and she was telling me that in the east of DR Congo, it's very unsafe. African people are living through permanent trauma. And when someone lives through permanent trauma, even when you do an African campaign and say you want to get people vaccinated for COVID-19, people are going to be reluctant because they are moving corpses, they are as good as dead. So what do you think is of paramount significance running that kind of a campaign? To them is a by the way, because they deal with real issues on daily basis. When someone has not eaten for a number of days consecutively, and you're going to tell them about COVID-19 vaccine, what gives you the impression that they are going to take you serious?
We're joined by an artist by the name of Fumalumo Vector, but is also in South Africa because he's African over and above. Talk to me about your transition, Yakona. How did you find the move to South Africa?
It was kind of hard for me because I didn't know anybody here. But I had to do it because there are a lot of opportunities here. So they wanted to the Sekaya. So I had to do it, but now I'm settling in. Everything is getting there, yeah.
How have Abantu been receiving you, first of all, as a person, and receiving you as an artist?
Okay, people have been showing me love since day one, because like the first song I dropped went double platinum, so I feel like Mutumba Musalan support at Akaram Pona, I feel like Akaram Kukra, Salam Fatsi, so shout out to everybody who's been supporting me, man. I appreciate it, yeah.
Should we be celebrating the Africa Month?
Not personally, I can celebrate all the time because I appreciate our whole. That's who I am, man. So it's really important. We have to remember where we come from so we can know where we're going. So we have to celebrate all the time.
So how do you celebrate being African through your music? Talk to me about that.
But strictly kids like Sesotho. So on every song I celebrate like that thing. So so I do it all the time.
To inspire among artists upcoming right now who are thinking of getting into the space. It's okay to sing in your own language.
Yeah, I feel somehow, man. It's okay. People will support you. Language, stick to your language, work hard.
Siyabona futhi last month into Operation Dudula, which sparked izinto inkulumo ezifana nezophobia into enjalo. How does it make you feel when, as an African?
I feel like we should like try to hook up because we are all Africans. Re tshwarane ka matsoho, re tlo hlola bophelo kaofela, yeah.
And what makes you proud ukuthi ube Africa?
I didn't just have one parent or two parents. I have like the whole community as my. Yeah,
Because it takes a village to raise a child.
I feel like that's what makes me like who I am today. Like I have manners because of everybody who's been raising me. Like today, I have everything that I have today because of everybody who's been into my life.
It takes a village to raise a kid, you know. Ingane yase next door, ingane yangaphi ekhaya, and so forth. What is it that we're doing wrong as Africans? And singenza njani ukuthi sibuyisane futhi as Africans with those values?
I feel like the more we grow up, is the more we trying to separate ourselves from other people, and that's totally wrong. Because way back, yeah, if I didn't have maybe sugar, I can knock on your door, yo, give me some sugar. But now, I feel like everybody's trying to be way important than other people, which is totally wrong, because I feel like we are equal. And if you can like stick together like that, we can go far.
We are asking, should we be celebrating Africa Month? We're back after this.
I had the opportunity to speak to a leading and prolific mind when it comes to what it means to actually be African. The best way to actually introduce him is to give him an opportunity to actually give you an introduction as to who he is, but most importantly, what he represents when it comes to Africa Month and Africa Day.
Ndinguzukisani Emmanuel Kantonga Mxoli uNdlovu zidle ekhaya ngenxa yokuswela umalusi ngumalunga ugengezi ngumntungwa kuboya benyathi buthi bubotshwa bube busombuluka mfondini ndingusombongo.
What is the significance of this particular period in our calendar?
Yeah, you see, once you talk about celebrations, Jackie, kunyanzelekile ukuba abantu bavuyisane. Ubomi bunzima kakhulu. Sininzi into esenzekayo. So people have been through thick and thin, and so once in a while there comes a time, annually in this case, yokuba sivuyisane nokuba singabantu base-Africa. It's more about African unity, because this day was really created when the African Union started. And so this is about us uniting abantu bakuthi throughout Africa, bayebati from Cape to Cairo. Yona ndibalulekileyo ngayo.
For young people, should they be celebrating this day, and why?
Ya ndiyakuvumela, yazi lo mbuzo lo ubaluleke kakhulu. Abantu abatsha bayazibuza ukuba senza ntoni ngoba babukele the leaders. Manqale from the leadership side of things. You know, at the Africa Union, they will make speeches. They'll speak about what they have done in terms of uniting Africa. Maybe they've sent military yasuke South Africa, ya Mozambique, kwasukutya kuphi. But abantu abatsha babukele, this is not impacting us. Lento ayisenzeli nix. And this is first my call to the leaders at Africa Union. Now, this is all the presidents and everybody who represents any country, that whenever you are doing things, you cannot always be reacting to a pandemic that has happened in Mozambique, or even the pandemic we are through now. When are you creating opportunities that will prevent ezo pandemics? Because once you do those opportunities, abantu abatsha bayakwazi ukufumana ixesha nendawo yokuziphuhlisa. Abantu abatsha are very creative, but the creativity hleli phaya ekhaya abanali ixesha lokuyiveza.
Where you're staying currently in your penthouse, you call it Africa. Why did you come up with that name, and what is the symbolism around it?
Kusekhaya apha ndizalelwe lonke eli sikulo, they will call it a continent, iAfrica. Noba kusemakhaya apho ndazalelwa khona kunxantathu okanye esentin kwi-penthouse ephezulu kakhulu, kuse-Afrika
Penthouse.
kusekhaya kokukulingana sikuzamayo ukuba akho ndawo ibhetere kunenye. Iba buhlungu inhliziyo yami xa ndiva abantu besithi balapha eSouth Africa besithi ndiya eAfrica. Ngongathi apha eSouth Africa asikho se-Africa, you know. Ndiye ndanalo ithuba lokujikeleza iAfrica, almost every country, and abantu baloko bethetha kamnandi ngeAfrica. Ndiyafuna ukubiza kwi-South Africans ukuba iAfrica yiyo le, sise-Africa apha.
We've heard now in a movement of Operation Tutula that seems to be promoting xenophobia. I mean, what is your take on that? But most importantly, what are the solutions and way forward to make sure we prevent, that hatred of the other, especially when there are people who look like us?
Siyayiva futhi andifuni sigxeke kakhulu. Abantu bayenza lento kuba bexakiwe ukuba benze ntoni. Bahleli apha bafuna imisebenzi bazama ukuphila. Abantu abekwiindawo zokuzenza ezi opportunities le ndiqale ngayo i-leaders abaziveze ezi opportunities. Kufike ke undwendwe endlini yakho uluvulele ucango as I've just mentioned. Undwendwe lusuke luthathe mhlawumbi konke. Ushiyeke wena uzibona ngathi hayi man awusananto apha. Kukho lo balance ke, it's a very strict balance ekufuneka siyenzile. Imbi into okugxotha undwendwe endlini lakho. Khathali noba uvelaphi. Imbi loo nto ngoba ngenye imini uzawufika kweyalo indlu. Okanye umntanakho, okanye umsizukulwana sakho sizawuya kwelalizwe. Silahlekele singumphambukeli sifike phaya samkelwe. Uze wena ufe inhliziyo ngoba wawumgxothile laa mntu. Ibifuneka into xa uza nge-solutions yokuba sisebenzisane. Ubuyajonga kakuhle eyona nto ibalulekileyo yimfundo. Imfundo eyinto eyenzileyo isifundise ukuba masifumane izertificate kodwa ezingakwaziyo ukusenza uba sisebenzise izandla zethu. Ngoku siphethe ezertificate siyanqonqoza akukho bokuvulwa khona. Kanti ndithi mna bantu abatsha subukhala ukuthi no one is opening a door. Build the door and open it yourself. Leya mfundo eyona nto mayikwenzele yona mayikwenzele ukuba ukwazi usebenzisa izandla zakho, your God given talent. Futhi ungabujonga kude, khangela around you. Ezi resources uzifunayo zikhona apha kwamelwane, zikhona sikhule kanjalo sisebenzisana. Xa ungenaswekile uya nje kwamelwane uthatha iswekile. Xa ubuyisa sasitya seswekile usibuyisa sinamagwinya. Loo nto leyo ibisenzeka indlu nendlu. Loo nto leyo imele yenzeke country by country. Ndiyacinga uba indawo i-operation ezenjalo ezifana no-Operation Dudula yalive lo gama libuhlunganyana kuthi ngoba lithi gxotha, uyaqona. Uba belisithi eligama Operation Sebenzisana, Operation Masibambane, sikhe siqale kuloo ndawo sithi sizamile ukubambana naba bantu bezinye inhlanga abafunanga bona. Sithi ke ngoku hayi noko bantu bakuthi makhe sizamene elinye icebo. Kodwa lokugxotha ayisoze kube licebo nanini na.
I hope today's episode inspired you to rewrite a new story about what it means to be an African in South Africa. Right, Nko?
Yeah, listen, I was very intrigued by how, some of the voices that came onto the platform, Namhlanje, spoke about how much we've achieved as Africans, but also how much of a greater distance we still have to go in order for us to achieve that independence, as well as that goal of us of being truly African, and as well as embracing our roots as African. Look, I'm also so excited, right? You know why? Because the gentleman that we spoke to earlier on the show, right, Malum Vector, is here and is going to be performing in Sotho.
I love it.
You know what I mean?
I love it.
Talk about embracing your roots, your African roots. Thank you so much for watching Mundomosha Lapekai, and thank you so much for your participation in Nkundla Zethu Zokuxhumana. From all of us here at Expressions, till next time, Selega. Yes,
Adios,
Malum Vector.
That's what I want to dance in my one. Ocha overseas in my one. Was cool. Lolo got who I have was so cheesy my one. That's what I want to dance in my one. Ocha overseas in my one. Was cool. Lolo got who I have was so cheesy my one. Twang. He won't me. One else one I need now, lady. Twang. He won't me. One else one I need now, lady. Twang. He won't me. One else one I need now, lady. When I'm with the kiss, no more day. And I can't try to get it. Muda masho, muda lega show, no way, as it is,